In this episode of the Texas Private School Podcast, Antonian locks up first place in the Division One South. Dallas Covenant secures second place in Division Three. The Woodlands Christian Academy falls to Fort Bend Christian, who is solidifying themselves maybe as a state championship contender in Division Two. Houston Christian gets their get back against Trinity Valley, and Kinkaid puts belt to against Episcopal in the championship game. All that and more in the newest episode of the Texas Private School Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Texas Private School Podcast. As always, I'm one-third of your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Walker Lott joins me from College Station, Texas, and Ryan Schroeder, unfortunately, was mauled by a bear in the woods of Transylvania. He is expected to make a partial recovery. I can't say full. All of our thoughts and wishes are with Ryan and whatever appendages he left in those woods. But Walker Lott, you are here with us. We covered a lot of ground this weekend. This is, as Ryan pointed out on the last episode, outside of actually, no, I was going to say this is the first week that we have actually, no, this is the first week that we've had coverage every single game of the week. Shout out to Allie Meyer, who is at Antonian Central. I was at Shelton versus Covenant, as well as Houston Christian versus TVS. And Walker was at TWCA at FBCA, and him and Bradley were at Kinkaid and Episcopal. Dude, we're some road dogs. We gotta give ourselves credit. We get around. How are the games that you'll get into these more, but the general vibe, how was it?
Dude, it was good times. I realized, Wes, that was the first time I ever covered Fort Bend at Fort Bend. So it was the first time I ever seen that environment. And also just being back in TDECU Stadium at Houston it's a great time. It's a great college stadium, and it's fun. A lot of good vibes, a lot of good people seen, and great week as always.
Definitely. So it was absolutely a great week. Any week where we're in the end game for the SPC, as chaotic as it always is fantastic. And one game was close, which was expected, and one game was not, which was not expected, but we will get into that in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we might as well just get straight into the scoreboard, powered by Ryan Schroeder, who yet again is tragically not with us. As always, the 5 games on the left-hand column will not be previewed now, as we were saving them for further analysis, but we will start with the lowest game. Trinity Christian Addison defeats Nolan Catholic 56-32. This was a game that I was scared about from a pick record standpoint, but I went with my gut and took TCA probably for the first time this season, as Walker did as well. And they get us one step closer to Ryan Schroeder. Shout out to TCA.
Yeah, Parish Episcopal beats Bishop Lynch 49-20. Kind of as expected, but big win and good win for Parish Episcopal.
Definitely so. Sorry, Walker. Fort Worth All Saints defeats Southwest Christian 52-14. Just now saying that, I realized there was a bet that we had partaken in. I don't know if you have your hat in reach, but
I don't know.
Scott
I don't
Reeser
have
and well, I'll do it for the both of us. Scott Reeser and the Letterman's Club at All Saints was gracious enough to send us hats, but with the stipulation that it was a bet that we had to wear them on the episode if Southwest Christian lost to All Saints, which is pretty much as sure as I can't think of an analogy there, but it was a sure bet. I see my hat back there. I'm going to go put that on. Shout out to the Letterman's Club for not sponsoring this episode, but sponsoring us with hats, I guess. Walker.
Yeah. Yeah, no, good win for All Saints. Sorry, I don't have the hat or I would wear it. I really would. Fort Worth Christian beats Grapevine Faith 49-14. Fort Worth Christian on a big win over, a solid team and Grapevine Faith, and excited to see how they do in playoffs in a game versus Hyde Park. That's going to be very interesting.
Definitely so. Midland Christian destroys Trinity Christian Lubbock 49-7. Not a lot you can take from that game because TCS isn't great and Midland is, the second best team in that district. I am curious to see how Midland performs in the playoffs. They're just a team that doesn't have a lot of, standout, Quentin Brown, Jalen Hawkins type talent, but they can definitely make some moves. They're very tough. I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe knock off someone they're not expected to beat. Should be interesting.
Yeah. Brentwood beats Brook Hill beats Brentwood 33-13 and knocks Brentwood out of the playoff contention.
On that note, Grace Community beats Bishop Dunn 21-6. I love Grace to death. That's a stinky score. That's you cannot be beating the worst team in TAPS D2 by 15 points. I mean, all that being said, maybe there was some rain involved. I don't know. I'm just a guy that talks on the internet, but we will move on to another D2 matchup.
Yeah, Austin Regents versus Hyde Park. Regents beats them 35-13. Hey, a closer score than this is a Hyde Park team that might be their best team in a while, and it shows. Yes, Regents is still that team in Austin, but a good closer game than Regents has in recent memory, which is good for them going into playoffs.
Lutheran South moves to 6-4 following a 49-13 shellacking of Cypress Christian. I mean, Cypress Christian is just completely fallen apart.
They
I
have a
understand. I understand moving up to Division Two is more difficult, but I mean, golly, I mean, you got to at least be able to beat Kelly and make it a game with LSA.
Yeah, with a D1 running back who should have been maybe the top player in that district or one of them, it's a very interesting thing. I do think it's going to get very interesting in the future because Cypress is moving locations as a school out near the Bridgeland area.
Hmm,
You might not know where that is, but it's off the highway in Cypress, which is going to make a lot more people that you would think that are in Cypress might come their way. So you could see some dogs come into Cyprus sooner than rather than later, maybe. But that's for another
interesting.
day. Holy Cross beats Austin Hill Country 46-0 on senior night. The Holy Cross Knights are 10-0, man. Going into playoffs and the favorites in TAPS Division 3 right now. They're rolling. Even their freshman quarterback got in, Rocky. And that's what you want to see in team, and especially last week of the season.
Absolutely. Moving down to Division 4, Mercy Culture Prep beats Temple Christian 32-21 for I think their second win of the season. Shout out to Coach Riley for getting Walker and I another leg up in the pick record as Ryan Schroeder chokes this away towards the end.
Yeah, big time win there. Thank you, Coach Riley. Brazos Christian, another 10-0 team, beats Rose Hill Christian 42-8. They are 10-0 for the first time in school history, program history, and Coach Washington has those guys ready to go. Very excited to see what they can do in playoffs.
Absolutely. Speaking of overperforming Division 4 teams, Central Texas Christian whacks Shiner St. Paul 43-13 to quietly finish the season 9-1. Their only loss being to the prior mentioned Brazos Christian Eagles. Um, Walker, this is definitely a team that could make noise in the D4 playoffs. We know, obviously, that First Baptist is far and away the favorite. Brazos Christian is kind of the dark horse. Maybe what's darker than dark? That a darker horse is Central Texas Christian.
Maybe.
Um, I mean, they lost 29-12 to Brazos Christian, which I feel like is a score that could be closer or more wide than it says on paper because I wasn't there. I'll have to. I think Stephen
Most of
Waverly was obviously
Yeah,
there.
most of those points were in the second half, maybe even fourth quarter. So
Yeah. So I mean it could be deceptively close. I would really be interested to see how Central Texas Christian performs at least the first couple rounds and maybe
they
we
would
look up and we're like, "Oh shoot, they're for
Yeah,
real."
they will have to play Hallettsville Sacred Heart in round two because they're on the bye round one, and they would line up with First Baptist in the semifinals.
That is
So
interesting because that original regular season game with Halsell Sacred Heart 2 weeks ago was a 26-20 double overtime win for Central Texas Christian. So obviously no easy game there, but we will see. Moving on.
yeah, Sacred Heart beats Conroe Covenant 46-21, secures their spot in that district. Conroe Covenant, even with the loss, secures their last point in playoffs and now plays Mercy Culture Prep in round one, which I don't know how either team look. They have Preston Van House, who's a good, solid quarterback in TAPS this year. It could get interesting where they could beat Mercy Culture round one and play First Baptist, but we will see.
Definitely. So moving back up to TAPS Division One, Argyle Liberty demolishes Frisco Legacy 51-3. I mean, I don't have anything to say here.
Enjoy
Liberty
and
is
enjoy the bye, Liberty.
enjoy the bye. Liberty is yeah. you know what? Enjoy the bye. That's the closing comments. Next game.
Another team that enjoyed the bye, Willow Park loses to Lubbock Christian 52-7. Because of this, Lubbock Christian already secured it, but they officially secure their number one seed in that district and enjoy the bye to play probably New Braunfels Christian in the game of New Braunfels Christian versus Tyler All Saints in the next round. Willow Park
Absolutely.
is out of the playoffs.
Hmm. A team that will not be enjoying the bye, Second Baptist, who defeated Kelly Catholic 38-7. There's not a bye for the D2 for that. Even if they won that district, they wouldn't have gotten a bye, but definitely not following the Fort Bend debacle. But that being said, I really don't want Second Baptist and Fort Bend to match up again because I still don't know who I'd pick, and somehow I would be wrong. I'd be on the wrong side regardless of what I did. But that being said, Second Baptist obviously still one of the more dangerous teams in Division Two.
Yep. And Kelly is out, which is it's gonna be interesting to see if Kelly can ever rise again. I just
Yeah,
don't see it happening anytime soon, sadly. Concordia Lutheran. This is a game we'll talk about for a little bit. Concordia Lutheran beats St. Michael's 45-14. This is a team this was the what let me look. The fifth team in that district versus the second team in that district, and they beat them by whatever that margin is. Um Unreal performance by Concordia Lutheran. I think Tanner Huckfeld was out of this game by the fourth quarter. That's how impressive of a win Concordia had it. I think that 7 points to make it 14 was in the fourth quarter. So, big win for Concordia Lutheran. It shows to the level they can play when playoff comes. And St. Mike's, I don't know what happened. I don't know their side of it. We'll have to talk to Jake, but man, very interesting game that, I was gonna go cover, and then I was like, oh well, probably St. Mike's is gonna win because they're the number 2 seed, and they did not whatsoever. But St. Mike's gets the bye. They play the winner of St. Thomas versus TCA Addison in round 2, and Concordia Lutheran now has to face Bishop Lynch in round 1.
absolutely. Moving on to I forget if this is even TAIAO or TCAL or TCAF, but it's one of the three.
One of the three, yeah.
It's one of the three. Legacy School of Sports Sciences defeats San Antonio Cornerstone 34-16 to move to a 7-4 record. I'm going to be honest with you. This game going on there makes me understand that Ryan Schroeder couldn't find any other TAPS or SBC scores. But that being said, a fantastic win for Legacy School of Sports Sciences as they have beaten a bunch of teams that I'm unfamiliar with and a narrow loss to Episcopal in week 3. Shout out to Legacy School of Sports Sciences. But
everyone, it's Jacob Bermudez, and this week I'll be recapping Holy Cross's massive win versus Austin Hill Country Christian. The Holy Cross Knights started off strong, first with a 1-yard rushing touchdown by sophomore AJ Aguya, then it was a 2-yard touchdown run by senior Daniel Perez. The final score of the first quarter came when senior quarterback Gibby Alvarado hit senior Nick Hall for a quick pass that was taken 73 yards to the house. The second quarter saw little to no action, but it was a 16-yard pass from freshman quarterback Rocky Orozco to senior Marco Gomez that brought the halftime score to 28-0. The third quarter was once again a quiet quarter for Hill Country, and it was a 3-yard touchdown from Patrick Ortiz and a 25-yard touchdown from Marco Gomez that brought the lead to 40-0. The final score came from sophomore Diego Fernandez that brought the final score to 46-0 Holy Cross. Holy Cross now enters the playoffs as the number 1 seed in District 3 and will host Bishop Gorman this Friday for round 1 of the TAPS Division 3 playoffs. Once again, this was Jacob Bermudez from Texas Private School Media. Until next time.
That being said, Walker, that is all for the TXPS Media Football Scoreboard powered by Ryan Schroeder. Yet again, let us get in to our 5 games of the week that we picked last week, and we will see how each turned out. The first of which, some TAPS Division 1 action. Antonian at Central. We got to give a shout out to Allie Meyer, who went out and helped us with some coverage for this game. Took some fantastic pictures. Go check those out on her Instagram. But Antonian picks off Central 3 times en route to a 42-41 victory for the Apaches. A little bit more narrow of a margin than we anticipated. In terms of the individual performances, Mikey Moreno had 16 carries for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Rogan Parson had 362 total yards, accounting for 4 touchdowns. Preston Jones had 7 catches for 130 and a touchdown, as well as the game-winning 2-point conversion. Jude Balderas had 5 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown, and Aiden Bernal had 5 catches, 131 yards, and
Wow.
a touchdown. So with that, Antonian locks up first place in the South and will face the winner of Central and Legacy following their bye in round one. Walker, a much deserved bye for Antonian after, I mean, it was a Division One South that at least internally was very competitive. There were a lot
Yeah.
of good teams this year. There wasn't a standout just nightmare team like St. Thomas was last year, but between Antonia, Concordia Lutheran, St. Mike's, Central Catholic, St. Thomas, and I think that's all the teams I was thinking of. I mean, you had a really competitive D1 South. Now, this is the question I'll pose to you. Will any of these teams pose threats to the big three in the North?
Uh, I don't know. To the big three, probably not. But what teams make it out of round one? That's more of the question, right?
Yes, it is.
Does Concordia beat Lynch? Does Central Catholic beat Legacy? Because Pius isn't beating Parish, right? I don't think TCA Addison is beating St. Thomas. So can Concordia beat Lynch and can Central Catholic beat Legacy? I don't know. It's definitely a possibility. So we will see. I want to shout out Antonian because going for two on the road in a rivalry game, because right, if you get the one, it's just 41-41, you go into overtime. But they
Yep.
they were like, you know what, we're gonna win it right here on the road to win the game, and that's what they did. So shout out Antonian. That takes guts, and they pulled it out with the win. So good for them.
It absolutely does. And I think those guts are befitting of district champions. Yet again, we will see how they fare
Oh,
following their round one bye.
can I say something quickly?
Yes, you can.
Supposedly now, Sawyer Anderson has now thrown for more passing yards than any quarterback ever to play football in DFW. He beat, you know who? Preston
Preston Jones.
Stone. Yeah,
Stone, not Preston Jones.
we just talked about Preston Jones. Preston Stone with 13,000. That's crazy. Two 4-year starters, and the one with the less titles. No, more titles now. Then Preston Stone comes out with the number one spot in DFW's history. He has guys like Braden Locke from Rockwell, a dog there who went and played college ball, Graham Harrell, who was a dog at Ennis, and perfect timing himself, Shadur Sanders at number 4. So
He should not be on that list.
that's a 4-year starter. That's the only reason. But yeah, big time plays and big time players, and Preston or Sawyer Anderson is definitely one of them.
I'm just now realizing I have recorded a sack against one of the players on the DFW's top all-time passing list. I had a chance to against Preston Stone, and he juked me out of my shoes. That's a story for another day that I tell from time to time. That being said, that was Antonia versus Central, as well as a caveat to congratulate Sawyer Anderson on what has been a great career. We will see how much longer it extends. Moving back down to TAPS Division 3 in the district that Dallas Christian plays in. However, they were not playing in this game. It was the two teams vying for second place. In Dallas Shelton at Dallas Covenant, I got to give a shout out to Dallas Covenant for hosting me on short notice, as this game was moved following some adverse weather in DFW that I'm sure everyone's aware of, from Friday night to Saturday morning, and it turned my nice balanced 1-game Friday, 1-game Saturday schedule into a smorgasbord of coverage and me jetting across DFW. But as for the actual contest, Covenant narrowly escaped Shelton 34-27 to secure second place in Division 3 District 2. As for Dallas Shelton, senior running back Taylor Ogden is as good as advertised. 33 carries, 158 yards, and 2 touchdowns, as he was essentially the Chargers' entire offense as he racked up touchdowns number 33 and 34 on the year. As for Covenant, senior quarterback and junior athlete Jack Henry Blakesley are both very solid, connecting for several touchdowns. Senior wide receiver Benjamin Golick also stood out, as ultimately Covenant was able to contain Ogden on defense and score just enough to win this game. Walker, I really liked senior quarterback Leighton Horan for Covenant. I'm disappointed that he's only a senior and I'm only finding out about him now, but he looked very impressive to me, as did Benjamin Golick, who I got some nice photos of with a touchdown. And also, we talked a lot about Taylor Ogden before the episode. A guy with 32 touchdowns, you got to take some time and appreciate that. But also, he got his here, but also Covenant bowed their necks when they needed to and were able to limit him. So it was some give and take. All that being said, Covenant secures second place in district. Shelton will go to third, and they will get thrown into the meat grinder that is the D3 playoff bracket.
Yeah. Covenant will play Austin Hill Country round one, and Shelton is going to play Lake Country Christian. So definitely not tough. Definitely not easy matchups for both of them.
No, Covenant Hill Country will be an interesting game.
Yep.
Hill Country, as we mentioned, has really outperformed expectations. That will be a game that we need to put on the pick sheet because I feel like that could be an even more divisive contest. But we will move on to a game that Walker was at and that we all three got wrong. Four got wrong for the second time this season. The Woodlands Christian Academy at Fort Bend Christian.
Yeah. As Brady Dever says, you can't all three pick against the Eagles, and that is what happened here tonight. There's a lot of ways this district could have gone, but of course the easiest was just Fort Bend winning outright, and that is exactly what happened as the Eagles win 35-17 over TWCA. It was truly the Cole Wooden show on offense as he went 10 of 19 for 208 and 2 touchdowns in the air, and then 104 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. I'm not saying he's the level of Cam Ward, but he kind of plays like Cam Ward to me. I keep saying that over and over, where he's just so comfortable in the pocket. He looks just kind of like chilled and relaxed and just makes plays. And that's kind of an interesting thing in a quarterback. It's pretty cool to see. Blake Hamilton continues his dominant campaign in district as he has 5 catches, 149 yards and 2 touchdowns. On defense, they absolutely stopped the Santiago Fernandez run game with Nico Lara have 17 total tackles and 3 TFLs. Air Force commit Tyler Curry had 11 total tackles and a pick as well. And on the D-line, junior Jonah Kalu had a great night with 9 total tackles, 3 TFLs, and 3 sacks. Definitely one to watch going forward. I do have to say this, the Zebras were going crazy in this one as it was one of the craziest ref shows I've seen in a while for both sides. Just could not take control of the game one bit. Insane. But overall, the defense came to play for Fort Bend Christian. Cole Wooden looked calm and composed as the team that started 1-4 has now won the district title in TAPS D2 District 4. Wes, what a turnaround for this team. They always had the pieces right, and we were always so confused why they weren't putting it together in non-district slate. They played a tough non-district slate, but it's just a crazy time. They played Liberty, they played Cornerstone, Pflugerville, Tomball Christian. Like, they played tough teams in non-district, but as you saw week after week, they just kind of pulled out wins. Kelly Catholic, they looked sluggish, but still pulled it out. And then from there on, they saw, hey, we can win some football games. We have the team to do it, and they didn't look back. And now they play St. Anthony's round 1. It should be a win, and looking to play this team again in round 2, the Woodlands Christian, which it could go either way again. But how that defense stops Santiago, it looks like they're going to be a team that could probably make the semifinals. It's going to be interesting to see.
At least when I'm wrong in spectacular fashion, and I'm consistently wrong. I think I'd be doing Fort Bend Christian a favor to continue to bet against them in these spots because I feel like whatever mojo we've captured from betting against them, it's gone out into the universe and it's being redirected into Fort Bend Christian and they're feeding off of it.
Yeah.
That's my hypothesis is that, in my great unselfish nature, that we are the cause of this Fort Bend Christian resurgence. All kidding aside, I've said it before, but I've got to say it again. This team started 1-4 in a pathetic way with that dud against Liberty Christian, and then getting shut out against Tomball Christian Homeschool, who we know now is very solid, but back then that's like saying the Atlas Rattlers shut them out 24-0. It's not something that should have happened. And then a sluggish win versus Kelly Catholic, a good win against Cypress, close games against Lutheran South, and the rest is history with the previous 2 victories. I still don't know anything about this Fort Bend Christian team. I was telling you for the episode, and I know this is something I would say Fort Bend Christian wouldn't want to hear, but they'll actually like me saying it because they'll give them stuff to feed off of. If this team plays Second Baptist again, I don't know who I'm picking. I'll pick them if they play TWCA because I'm confident in that. If they play Second again, I don't know who I'm picking. All that being said, in all seriousness, Cole Whidden has emerged and been very good. Obviously, you've got Tyler Curry and Blake Hamilton, who are incredible. Blake Hamilton might be the fastest person not named Quentin Brown I've ever seen.
Dude, like I said on the space, that 100-meter sprint in the 5A finals between him, uh, whatever, Quentin Brown and Jalen Thomas from SES who won it last year, dude, that's gonna be fun to watch.
I might actually have to get out there and observe that. But all that being said, I'm a man. I admit when I'm incorrect. I have been dead wrong on Fort Bend Christian up to this point. We will see if I continue to be dead wrong throughout the playoffs. Let us move into some SPC action. The first of two games we will recap. The one I was at was in Bedford, Texas, at Pennington Field. Houston Christian versus TVS for the second straight year. And the Mustangs get sweet revenge to the tune of a 21-12 SPC 3A title. This game started with a bang for TVS with a 50-yard run first play from scrimmage for Ben Nagishu with a heck of a pitch and catch from Beckett Drennan to Will Beckish to get TVS on the board for 6. The Trojans then recovered a fumble on the Houston Christian 45, but ultimately could not capitalize on that error. Houston Christian then responded with a touchdown ball from senior Ron Reese to senior wide receiver Bennett Mallory, and that would conclude the first half with a 7-6 Houston Christian lead. RJ Evans stepped in at quarterback once again and powered it in on the ground for a touchdown. If Evans can develop and make a jump from this year to the next, I really do think he can be an SPC player of the year type guy. He's even from the beginning of the season when I saw him to now, he looks much more composed. His ability to run the ball has even gotten better. If he can just develop that much farther, I think we're looking at a guy that is a special talent in 3A. However, regarding this game, Ben Nagishu responded to that with a rushing touchdown, but the Trojans' chance to tie this game up was negated following an excessive celebration call after the touchdown, and then TVS missed that extra point. Here's what I'll say regarding that. In the moment, I sent a text to Walker and Ryan and said, that was stupid. And I was like, I think that celebration, I was like, it felt like it went on for like 10, 11 seconds. You just got to know where you're at and what you're playing and just not be that dumb. I went back and watched the clip I took before we recorded, and it's like 5 seconds at the most. And to be completely honest with you, with the way the game is now, especially in college, they're letting them do a little bit more. In an SBC championship game, and if this was a call that didn't have any effect on the game, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, don't care. This had an impact on the contest. I think if you're the Zebras, who they were an East Texas crew, so far be it for me to criticize them too much, but that is kind of soft to throw that flag there. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot, but that is how it went. And then finally, RJ Evans hit Anderson Jones off of a heavy set play action, and that would have the Fat Lady singing for a 21-12 SPC 3A title for Houston Christian. Also, Joseph Trickett is probably going to be, SPC Defensive Player of the Year. If not, I mean, he's 3A. He could be 3A MVP. That dude is a monster. That dude had his hand all over the game. He has, probably 15 sacks in like 8 games this season. Just very, very talented. Got a good interview with him after the contest. Super, super cool guy and was fun to speak with. Walker, Houston Christian gets back to the title game and beats TVS, although without the two of the guys that got them there last year. What are your thoughts on Houston Christian finally topping the mountain?
No, just shout out to that team, man, especially how it happened last year to, take over the heartbreak and use it to your advantage and come out with a win this time. Shout out to Coach Eisman and that entire team. That's a big, big win. You know, uh, uh, it was just, how do you replace Brett Kilchrist coming into the year was a big question for this team. You knew they were going to have guys, but all their guys kind of stepped up, and their quarterback, it wasn't a one person answer question to it. It was two, and Ron Rice and RJ Evans came together and just had a great position at quarterback for this Houston Christian team. And just each of them had their time to shine. And in a game like this, you needed them both, and they both showed out and made big plays. And this entire team is going to be really good. And I don't know how it is for next year. Green Hill's going to get better. I think Oak Ridge is going to get better, but this looks still like the team probably to beat in SPC 3A next year. They have guys coming back, but they do have, Anderson Jones is leaving, Bennett Mallory, Joseph Trickett. They have guys that are going to be graduating that are going to be key losses, but I think this team was really good. And just shout out to the juniors that came back in this senior year for the revenge and got the job done.
Absolutely. It's always cool to see a team get that close in a year and then falter and then the next year come back and get it done. It's always makes for some cool storylines. Speaking of something to that tune, you were at SPC 4A state championship that was interesting, certainly, to say a word. Walker, what did you witness down in Houston?
As it's basically what you said in the intro, man. Truly. Revenge for last titles game loss is sweet during the regular season, but domination in the title game is just even sweeter as Kinkaid just dominates Episcopal 49-10 in this SPC 4A title game. This game was over at the half. You could say it was over after the first quarter. It was 35-3 at half. Offensively for the Falcons, it was the Wayne Shanks Jr. game. The sophomore truly was not stopped with 5 total touchdowns and 4 of those coming in the first half. Senior quarterback David Capobianco threw for 2 touchdowns, 1 to Wayne Shanks and the other to senior standout Jordan Manuel. Jackson Staley, the tight end, also caught a couple big time passes over the middle for big gains. Looking at the defense, this Larned squad lived up to the hype of being one of the top defenses in TXPS. And Wes, this might be the best, truly. Brody Barty finally looked like a sophomore in this game, as the Falcon defense will probably be in his nightmares as the weeks go on. 25 DBs, Isaac Lai and I'll say Isaac Lee. Yeah, 25 DBs, Isaac Lee and Max Rader come up with massive interceptions and Cooper Chambers as well stood out, making big time plays all night, including a pick, big PBUs, and a massive punt return for a touchdown. Overall, Coach Larned gets his 7th SPC title, and Kinkaid now has 9 SPC titles since 2010. What a game! Truly, it like last year, Carson Gordon set the tone early. 80-yard touchdown from the first play of the game, and they kind of didn't look back. And this one was kind of the same thing. Kinkaid drove down the field in their opening drive and just didn't look back. Defense was just monstrous. It made Brody Barty throw 3 interceptions in this one. Multiple fumbles. It was just a nightmare situation for Episcopal. And this game was a 2-point game and a half in the regular season. Sorry, in the regular season. What Kinkaid did to audible and change and adjust going into this game should be in a coaching clinic. Truly. It was unbelievable what they did in this one.
Yeah, I had made it a point that I don't bet against Kinkaid in these spots anymore. However, I will say what I said on the podcast prior when I told a couple of people the SPC 3A championship was that this is the first year in a little bit that I feel like Kinkaid has more raw talent than EHS does. And in the past few years, at least last year, Kinkaid has had slightly more, EHS has had slightly more talent. And I've still bet Kinkaid because I feel like the scheme and the culture they have there still outweighs. It's enough to counterbalance a talent disadvantage. In a year like this year, when you have Capo and then Manuel, and then how could you not say Wayne Shanks along with all of that stuff? There's no shot that I couldn't take Kinkaid here. Wayne Shanks is that dude. I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't stay at Kinkaid, but providing he does, he is going to be one of the best players we've seen in the SVC. Like, I mean, like a Cam Henry, Dylan Bell, Micah Bell type player. He is, you can just tell the way I will just say this, after that one touchdown he scored and he hit the celly, I was like, for some reason, just seeing that was like, holy crap, this dude's real. Like just dog mentality, just dog.
He has that type of running too that it doesn't look like he's running fast. He's just that athletic. It's the Devon Achain type of run, if that makes sense, right? Where he's just faster, he's more athletic, he's just better than most people, and that results in just dominating. And he's big. He's a big back too that I didn't even realize. And so, when you want to put him in between the tackles, he can run through somebody too.
Yeah, How big is he?
I mean, I don't think he's like Andrew Paul, right? He's not that type of big, but I don't think I would put him like he can turn into what Chase Garnett can be, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
No, I don't doubt that at all. If you're saying somebody can turn into a Jace Garnett type back, he's going to be pretty dang good
Yeah.
at football. But that being said, that's all I had there. Congratulations to Kinkaid for their victory. It seems like the Falcons are back on the right track. That actually will conclude all of the information that we have for this episode. We will take a brief pause and be back in your feeds Thursday evening with the Week 12 recap, which I guess technically will be the round one of playoffs preview, not recap, excuse me. Walker, I simultaneously feel like we've been doing this for 8 months and also that the season started yesterday. I don't know how that
Yeah.
works, but it's how I feel. But we are in the final stretch. We have 4 weeks for the rest of our lives or for the rest of the TXPS season in 2024. Any closing thoughts, comments, concerns before we prepare for that?
No, I think it's gonna be a good one. There are some good games that are gonna matter for our pick record round one that I truly have no idea which way I'm gonna pick right now. So, and that's what you kind of want. I want some weird matchups that we don't have usually. The one good thing about TAPS is that you play North versus South somehow in round one instead of like the typical UIL schedule, which is fun to see. So, I'm very, very excited.
Definitely so. It will make for some interesting matchups, but we will save those until Thursday to analyze. As always, I've been 130 of your hosting crew, Wes Tolleson. Walker Lott has fantastically been himself. Ryan Schroeder is somewhere in the woods of Transylvania and will be back shortly. We'll see you Thursday. See you later.